Hello and welcome to Lexi's Book Nook. I am Lexi. I am your host, where we talk about book club recommendations, Reese Witherspoon books, and then some books on my TBR list. If you are listening on Spotify, you have the free content of all my podcast episodes. If you're listening and watching on Patreon, then you have the added benefits to see my face, see my book nook, get inspiration for your own and the book titles. Same thing goes for my booktubers, except Patreon is a $3 per month subscription. Booktubers, you will be getting these episodes and also some bonus episodes of books that will not be discussed on podcast episodes. So you're kind of going to get getting a little bit of everything. So if you are an avid listener, then you know that we have 2 episodes per month. The first one is beginning of the month of all the books that I will be reading and reviewing. And then the second episode of the month will be at the end where I have read hopefully all of the books, and I will go over a summary, my thoughts, and some discussion questions from book clubs. So this first episode, I'm just going to go over the books that I will be reading. So I am part of 2 book clubs. One back in my hometown in Bel Air, Maryland. The club is called Books on Tap, where there's a book club recommendation, and we read it. I meet up at a bar, get a couple of drinks, and then talk about the book. I am also part of a book club in Cockeysville, Maryland, so I'll go over that book. I'll go over Reese Witherspoon books from 2022. If I can get my hands on 2023, maybe I can get to it. Really depends on how popular the book is. And then once I get through all of them, I will go through books that I can try to find on my TBR list, which means to be read, that are also in theme for the month. So for April, I'm looking for some comedy books, maybe some nature, like advocacy books for Mother Earth for our Earth Day. So I'm just going to show you the books and the books that I'll be reading. The first one is The Daughter of Dr. Moreau by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. This is the book club pick for the Cockeysville Book Club. So here's the book title for my Patreon and booktubers. This is by the author who also wrote Mexican Gothic. And that was a really cool read. So that is the first one, and that's for the Cockeysville Book Club. The second book is for my Books on Tap Bel Air, Maryland book club, which is called The Passenger by Cormac McCarthy. So here is the book title for my booktubers and Patreon users. So that Patreon account can become very useful. And the next book is actually on my TBR list, and I saw there was a perfect book for April. I don't know why, but I'm going to find out, which is Circe by Madeline Miller. I'm also an avid listener of Professional Book Nerds. They have their own reading challenge every year. And one of them is to read a Greek retelling. So I am going to accomplish that this month in April with Circe by Madeline Miller. And then after that, I need to find my Reese Witherspoon pick. So if you know what it is, please tell me on lexisbooknook.com. And that's spelled Lexie. You can contact me and let me know what that book club pick from 2022 is so I can read it in time for the end of the month. But I'm going to try to get into some funny stuff for April and April Fool's Day. It's kind of a funny story by Ned Vizzini, which is the next book. It seems very interesting. So that is one of my April funnies. And I also have Infinite Jest, but I'm going to keep that on the bottom of my list if you can see it right here, because it's just so big. Some of my TBR books on my list are books by authors that I really enjoy, or they're books that are adapted to TV series and movies. So the first one of one of those is Chris Bohjalian's Midwives. So he's one of my favorite authors, and it's also been made into a movie. So that's going to be on my list for April. It's not very in theme with April, but I like books that are being adapted to TV series and movies. And speaking of which, the next one will be turned into a TV series by April 26th, which is Saint X by Alexis. I'm going to butcher the last name. Scheitkin. Let me know what it is pronounced. But this is Saint X. I am currently listening to this on my audiobook on Libby. So that is my next April book. And then here comes my Earth Day pick, which is The Overstory by Richard Powers. So this is the one that I was talking about for maybe some nature advocacy. We'll see how it goes. It's on near the bottom of my list. And then last but not least, another funny book, hopefully, because it is just so big. And that's why it's on the end if I have time to get through it, which is Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace. So it is a big boy. It's thick. So we'll see if I get to the end of this list of all these books. It is much bigger than usual, but I've been pretty good about these past 3 months that I might be able to get through them. But that is what I'll do for April. If I do go past this list, I'll have bonus episodes on my booktube. So keep listening and tuning in for that. If you want to keep listening for free, this podcast is available on Spotify. But if you want to get the extra bonus of seeing my face, my book nook, get inspiration for your own, see the book titles, that is $3 per month on Patreon. And then you can also check out any of the books I've read in the past on my website, lexisbooknook.com. That is spelled Lexie. And you can just see all the books I've read so far this year with my summary and my thoughts. And there's also a bookshop tab where you can buy your own copy of any of the books. If you see something you really like, whether it's on a podcast episode or not, there is an affiliate link for Amazon. I will get a commission based off your sales at no extra cost for you. So please check that out. It's not just these April books, but it'll be books that I've read in March, February, January. If you don't know what those are, go back to Spotify and listen to those episodes to figure out what those books are. But that is it for today's episode. We are just going over the books I'll be reading for April. I hope you keep listening and I hope you keep on reading.